How do you think this news is going to be received in the Cleveland Browns locker room?
Well, to be perfectly honest, there's been so much drama, and as a high-level member of the organization said it to me yesterday, it's just been a mess. It's been really, really messy, and it's been self-inflicted drama. That's what he called it. In fact, he said self-inflicted drama. Ian just mentioned this. There are so many young players here, so many young, talented players. You're hopefully your future franchise quarterback in Baker Mayfield, Myles Garrett, who Steelers lineman last week just called a once-in-a-generational player, Denzel Ward, the cornerback, Nick Chubb, the young running back. The environment that these players are in right now, the culture that they will be steeped and raised in, that is so vital to the future of this franchise. And the messiness, the drama, the self-inflicted nonsense, it had to stop to some degree. And, I mean, that's what you're seeing right here. I can tell you this. I've just been told that nobody in the building, none of the coaching staff has even officially been told that Hue Jackson is gone, and no one yet has been notified who the interim head coach is.
Wow. So who, in your estimation, would be in line to potentially take over? Again, I know we don't have the answer to it immediately, but who would be the next logical person to step in line there until this season is over?
Well, now, both of your former coordinators are former head coaches, in Greg Williams and Todd Haley. A lot of attention has been paid to Todd Haley because, as Ian just referenced, Baker Mayfield does have a very strong relationship with Haley. Haley has shown that he has experience winning. When he was the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, he did win the division. He won a lot in Pittsburgh. He was the offensive coordinator in Arizona when they went to the Super Bowl. But I've been told that this last week didn't necessarily do Haley any favors. And if we backtrack a little bit, we remember that Hue Jackson hired Todd Haley. He said that Todd Haley would have full autonomy over his offense. He said that over and over. Last week, he was very upset after the Browns lost. Last Sunday, he referenced having a stronger role in the offense, talked about his own strengths in running the offense, seemed to indicate he was going to take over play-calling duties, dialed back on that Monday, then during the course of the week tried to say, no, this is the media making more drama out of his own words. But Haley, who has been quiet throughout this past week did kind of, I hate to call it fight back because it was a little bit passive, but he did make some statements that sort of showed he wasn't going to take this laying down. And what I mean by that, he was very, very vocal in talking about what a great job quarterbacks coach Kenny Zampese has done. He talked about what it takes to be a head coach in the NFL. He talked about his own emotional mentality and that he would never be reactionary, which many saw as a direct rebuff, sort of what Hue Jackson did in responding very emotionally after last Sunday's loss. So I don't know that, from what I've been told, he perhaps did not do himself any favors this week in making this look a little bit like a power struggle. I think what's really important here is that you know that the Haslams really, really believed in Hue Jackson, that Hue Jackson is very close with the Haslams. Hue Jackson was not necessarily John Dorsey's guy. John Dorsey was not going to give him as much rope. If there was a power struggle, that power struggle was between John Dorsey and Hue Jackson, and this is John Dorsey winning.
Well, it finally seemed like the Browns had their franchise quarterback in hand with Baker Mayfield. Now comes this news. How do you think this could potentially affect his development moving forward as the signal caller for the Browns?
Well, if Todd Haley remains, we do know that he's got a strong relationship with Todd Haley. Baker Mayfield's own words this past week when asked about Hue Jackson saying that he wanted to have a bigger role in the offense, Baker Mayfield said, this is not the time to reinvent the wheel. He said, if you look at all the good teams around the NFL, they do what they do and they perfect it. And he said, we just need to, he's essentially mouthing what Todd Haley keeps saying, which is that this is a process. We have to keep working at this. If you look at this game, look, I was at the Steelers-Browns game yesterday, Will, and there were, the rookie left tackle is really struggling to block anyone. Wide receivers are dropping balls. David Njoku, who is a wonderful tight end talent, couldn't get himself free. this is an offense that is a work in progress. It needs to work. It needs to get in that work, not necessarily rip everything up every week. That's what offensive coordinator Todd Haley has been saying. And then you hear Baker Mayfield say the exact same thing. From everything I've been told, Baker Mayfield is very comfortable with Todd Haley. He really likes working with Todd Haley. They do have a good relationship. So we don't know what's going to happen at the end of this year, and I cannot think that the Haslams are happy or John Dorsey is happy about anything that has gone on thus far necessarily. But you can see that there should be some stability there for Baker Mayfield. The elimination of some of the messiness, the elimination of the drama, of the mixed messaging, that can only be good for a young player.